And people went crazy because he said he was sending him his prayers.
How could anybody find fault with somebody saying, hey, you had a heart attack, I'm wishing you well, I'm sending you my thoughts, I'm sending you my prayers?
I know.
How could anybody find fault with that?
Exactly. So people were saying like, oh, prayers aren't going to do anything, it's science. Doctors are going to be the ones, to save them, blah, blah, blah.
Do they want him to go over there and perform like triple bypass surgery on this guy?
Exactly. And so,
what's he going to do?
Take it up a few notches right now. See if y'all can keep up.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the ScruffCast. I'm John.
And I'm Dan.
We're jumping right into it this week, Dan.
Let's do it.
I saw a news story article I read that caught my eye. Made me think of you. I was reading that in the United States, at least, Target, and I believe Best Buy soon to follow, is going to stop the sales of CDs.
Mm-hmm.
A relic of the past.
I guess.
People aren't buying CDs anymore. So the article says that in America last year, almost 75 million CDs were purchased.
Which I feel like isn't a whole lot.
It sounds like a big number, but
when you think about it, like back in the day, like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were doing a million CDs in their first week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see how on the global scale of like all the different genres of music, that's not really a big number, but it seems like a large amount of money to just sort of throw away if you're these retailers. So I'm reading here that on July 1st this year, Best Buy wants to stop sales of CDs. So apparently, they used to be a major music merchandiser, at least in the United States.
Yeah.
But sales have gradually declined, because things like Spotify are making it cheaper and easier to get access to like unlimited music, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, you look here, right? Like all the HMVs are closing down.
Yeah, HMV chain of music stores. I don't know if they had them outside of Canada, but yeah, they closed down.
Yeah, they're all slowly shutting down.
Right. And you think of like how many people are, into buying vinyls and stuff now.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Like vinyls are coming back like they're such a big thing.
Yeah, but like only a little more than 10% than the sales of CDs. I'm reading here 8.6 million vinyl records were sold in America last year. Oh. So not that many.
Okay, so the question is, how do you feel about this, John?
So I'm on board. I say, the CD, it's had its time. It's been around a long time now, and I feel like, why should you have to get in your car, drive to the store, or maybe go on Amazon and have it ordered to your house? This physical item that you got to put in your machine, whether it's a computer, in your radio, in the CD player in your car, which I think some cars don't even come with CD players anymore.
Yeah, they're starting to make the new ones, those CD players. Ridiculous.
So why should you have to, so you're an artist, imagine, right? You record your album. You have it printed out and stamped on this physical item, right? It's got to be packaged up, put on a truck, put on a plane, whatever, being shipped to a retail store. Then the consumer has to order it to their house or go out online or go out in person and purchase it, come home, put it in their device to play that, when you could just already from the comfort of your own home or even just on your phone, just stream the music right to you.
Yeah, and it's kind of at no cost really to them. I mean, there's a cost there, obviously, but not the same cost as printing CDs and packaging them and sending them off, right?
And then the retailers aren't taking their cut.
No.
Right? Because even as far back as 15 years ago or so, you could actually, not even streaming, just buy albums right on iTunes.
Yeah.
Right? So then Apple takes a little bit of a cut, but you're still making more money overall. And it's a lot easier to sort of shadow drop and just surprise release things like this, right? Overnight you could just like the same way we record our podcast, or you can schedule it to be uploaded at a certain time or whatever and become available to the public. You could have your album just flick of the switch and boop, now it's up, right? Available for everybody to buy.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of CDs. I still buy CDs. I got an artist I like, I'll go out and I'll go buy their CD. For example, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, his new CD just came out
a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I went out the day it came out. I went to Walmart and I bought it. I like having the physical copy of things. I understand that everything, it makes more sense just to buy it online and stream it or do whatever, but I just like having the physical copy. And like with everybody going back to vinyl now, it seems like everybody likes physical copies of that. So what makes CD so different? It's just like vinyl's just like this hipster cool thing to do now. Oh, I have this vinyl player. Check me out. I'm gonna play this vinyl. I don't know. I just like the hard copy of things, you know?
I could see that. It's kind of nice to have like a physical collection, right? Whether it's CDs in this case, or even like video games, DVDs, or Blu-rays now more likely, or books, right? But like it's so much easier. You can have like an e-reader device, right, like a Kindle or a Kobo, and you can have almost unlimited books just on this one device, and you can bring it with you, read in the dark, do whatever. It's like just all these industries are moving more towards like the digital future, and it's just I think it's a matter of convenience. Right?
It is, but like I don't know what scares me is like, okay, you buy all your music on iTunes or whatever it may be. What if your Apple account just shuts down? I don't know, something happens to it. Apple loses it. You know, remember the iCloud leak?
Yeah.
If that okay, it's not about leaking your music out, but like, what if they just lost it? Your account's gone. All that music you bought's gone. Doesn't that like worry you a little bit? Like, wouldn't you still like to, at least I still have this physical copy I can hold in my hand. I don't like purchasing things and not being able to physically touch them. You know what I mean?
I could see that argument. I see a lot with video games where a lot of video game purchases now are just done with digital copies instead of actually buying the game and using a disc, because the games are so large now that when you put the disc in your console, you're pretty much just like confirming you own the game, and it's just really downloading like a digital copy, right? Because the games can't even run off the discs because the games are too big now to read off as fast as the discs can spin. And it's like, well, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago now, you bought the Nintendo 64, right? You buy your games. You can still take that Nintendo 64 to the closet, put the game in, and still play.
Yeah.
Right? But like you're saying, like, what if these companies now, like Sony's just like, oh, we're losing money on PlayStation, so we're not going to... maintain the service anymore. And you lose all those games tied to your account. You can't play them. So I could see it's similar to that, right?
That's what worries me most about all the digital stuff, right? About purchasing digital things and this and that. Like, the convenience of it now is great, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, it's not conspiracist, but like, I don't know.
You're like
all my
a
stuff's
purist.
just floating around in the cloud, up in the air.
I get it, but I'm all on board with this like all digital future.
You're a much more tech person than I am.
Yeah, like when it comes to video games specifically, like I was just talking about, I actually purchase like almost all of my games like digitally, right?
So you buy all your games digitally?
I buy all my games digitally. It's just like the convenience factor. You don't have to get up and switch discs and stuff. The only thing you got to worry about is hard drive space. And the games are pretty large now, but consoles come with big enough hard drives.
I've purchased some music online. Like, I'm just trying to check my phone here to see what I've purchased online.
I believe you've actually done the double dip where you bought the album digitally, like off of iTunes, and bought the CD.
I do that often. Well, I shouldn't say often, but if it's a artist or a band I really like, I'll double buy it. I'll buy the iTunes version, because it's like, let's say the CD drops that day, I want to listen to it right away, so I'll download it. Go to iTunes and I'll buy it. And I don't want to download it off YouTube or a thing. I want to give that artist my money.
Yeah, you want to support
them.
them.
I want them to succeed, so I want to give that artist my money. So I'll buy it on iTunes, and then I'll go out into the store and buy the physical copy of it. And actually, my favorite band, which is Avenged Sevenfold, which probably nobody knows, I have 4 copies of their newest CD.
4 copies? Like, I understand 1 copy maybe on iTunes, 1 copy you bought the actual CD. How do you have 4?
I know, it's a little ridiculous, but like, I got 1 copy of the iTunes, the 1 copy from the store, and then they came out with a deluxe edition one, which I bought. And then I also have a vinyl version, not because I like vinyl, but I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to meet them. And so I bought the vinyl so that they could sign it so I can get a shadow box and everything, which I still haven't done yet, but I will eventually. So I have 4 copies.
So you're quadruple dipping, showing them, hey, I really like your music.
Yeah.
Keep making it.
Well, keep making it. I want to support them, right? Like, I think that's the way it should be with everything, not just music. If you actually like something, spend the money and support it. I sound so like I shouldn't say hippie-ish, but like, you know what I mean?
I see where you're coming
So
from.
clean cut. Come on,
Right?
guys, do it by the book. Like,
I can definitely see where you're coming from. Like, I've heard that with these streaming services like Spotify, the rates that the artists get paid are actually like just junk.
yeah, there was a big kerfuffle with Taylor Swift because she, it was like something like the artist, when I think Apple Music first came out, they were taking all the artists' music and giving them like almost nothing. Like,
Yeah,
in
'cause Apple
return.
has all the power.
As like, you know, because they were starting it out kind of thing. Like, I think they're like, they had that 3-month trial running you can get for free.
Yeah, so they're probably going to Apple would take like a huge hit if they were giving free trials to everybody and they had
also
to pay out all this
artists.
money.
So they were just
all
like,
at
we're not
once.
going to pay the artists. And then I think it was Taylor Swift who came out and said something. I guess she's so big that Apple was like, okay, fine.
I believe she pulled her music from Spotify as well.
Really?
An interesting story, though, I read a while back. This might have been sometime last year, I think. There was this band. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name, but it was like I think it was like a heavy metal band from like Sweden or something like that. They wanted to raise money to like fund their next tour. It was a smaller band. So what they did was they created an album that I think was like 10, 12 songs of just 30 seconds of silence each song. And then they told their fans, hey, can you run your computers like overnight and just play the album on repeat for us? It's not actually playing any music, but this way we're getting like money from the ads that run, right? You just silence your computer, just run it for us like overnight or whatever. And they raised quite a bit of money. Small in comparison to like other large artists, but I think it was like, $5,000 to $10,000, enough they needed to like fund their little tour they were doing around Europe. And I believe eventually they kind of got like shut down. Like Spotify was like, no bueno, can't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chintzy way to cheat the system a little bit.
Yeah, it really is, right?
Because it's a good idea though.
It all goes
Why
based
not?
on like on the plays, right? But I've heard that it's like fractions of a penny maybe per song
that they actually get.
Yeah, because you got to think it from the perspective of these streaming companies that like these large artists could have millions or hundreds of millions of times that their songs are played, right? So like if you're giving out like pennies, just even pennies, like that's a lot of money is going to add up pretty quickly. It's not feasible for these companies to do this.
How does it work for YouTube? Does it work the same as like vloggers and stuff like that?
I believe
I guess artists, it's the same kind of deal.
I believe it's just based off of ad revenue, and a lot of times it's in the artist's interest. Like they'll see people ripping their songs, putting it up on YouTube, and you could go after them and do copyright claims. But some of them, and I think this, the wiser approach is just like they don't even bother. Why are you going to hunt down these people? Obviously, these people are fans of your music if they're taking the time to post these up. And then they're giving you visibility, right? Maybe people who haven't heard all your songs or even heard of you at all. Now they're going to see your songs come up because somebody else re-uploaded them as recommended tracks, like or recommended videos.
More exposure
on the side of YouTube. Yeah, it's more exposure, and it's really just free exposure at the cost of what you're losing potential ad revenue. If
someone ripped our ScruffCast off YouTube and started reposting it, like that'd be awesome.
I'd say go for it, but I'm like, why are you ripping it and putting it on YouTube when, Dan, did you know we're already there?
We are. Tell them where, John.
We're everywhere. You can follow us on Twitter at ScruffCast. You can watch us on YouTube by searching for ScruffCast on YouTube because we don't have enough subscribers to get that fancy /ScruffCast URL. We're on email. Everybody's on email from like last 30 years ago. But if you want to email us, maybe you love CDs, maybe you hate CDs, maybe you just want to tell us what you think, you can email us, scruffcast@gmail.com, and tell us what you think. The world, it's a fast-moving place nowadays. Everything's going digital. Even the ScruffCast, you can't buy this stamped out on vinyl. Maybe one day.
I read something interesting today about Chris Pratt. First off, Kevin Smith, who is a director now, I don't know if he still acts. I know he used to, but he was in Jay and Silent Bob. He was Silent Bob.
He directed the movie Clerks, and he's done a bunch of different stuff over the years.
Yeah. Anyway, he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah, this happened like just today, the day we're recording the podcast.
This morning.
The day before this podcast releases.
Yeah, so he had a massive heart attack in the artery they call the Widowmaker. It was 100% clogged. And
which is like pretty extreme.
Yeah. Anyway, he survived, and I guess they had surgery and everything, and he was okay. So anyway, Chris Pratt goes on to Twitter because Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith. I always get him Kevin James mixed up.
No, Kevin
It's
James
just the
is
Kevin. That's it.
is Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Kevin James.
Yeah, it's Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith posted on Twitter a picture of himself laying in the hospital bed and explained the whole thing. Hey guys, I had a crazy big heart attack, kind of whatever. And so Chris Pratt quoted the tweet and just said, hey, we don't really know each other that well, but I'm pulling for you and I'm sending you my thoughts and prayers. And people went crazy because he said he was sending him his prayers.
How could anybody find fault with somebody saying, hey, you had a heart attack, I'm wishing you well, I'm sending you my thoughts, I'm sending you my prayers?
I know.
How could anybody find fault with that?
Exactly. So people were saying oh, prayers aren't going to do anything, it's science, doctors are going to be the ones, to save them, blah, blah, blah.
Do they want him to go over there and perform triple bypass surgery on this guy?
Exactly. And so
what's he gonna do?
I read a guy. It was like a six tweet little thing that he was talking about, kind of defending Chris Pratt a little bit. I'll try to remember if I can. But he was pretty much saying listen, if something happens like the Florida high school shooting, which we're gonna get into later.
We'll talk about that later.
If something like that happens. And you offer your thoughts and prayers, it's a little meaningless because there actually is something you can do. You know what I mean? You can you can try to push to help get rid of guns. You can do this, you can do that.
You can donate your time. It's a big problem.
Exactly.
Right?
The hurricanes, you know what I mean? In Puerto Rico or whatever, right? You can, donate money. You can donate supplies, whatever they need, right? There's actually something you can do. Thoughts and prayers in those situations are still good, but there's actually something you can do. In a case like this, Chris Pratt can't do anything. He can't push the doctor aside and be like, no, don't worry, I'll perform the surgery.
Yeah.
He can't do that.
Bust into his hospital room, pound on his chest, and clear out the blockage.
Exactly.
I got you covered, buddy. New buddy, because now we're friends all of a sudden.
So it's a little more so just of him saying hey, man, I got you in my thoughts. I hope you recover well. Hope everything's good.
Yeah, you don't
That's all
think
it is.
you don't think if something happened to you like that and you saw a nice message like this from somebody who's pretty well known, well respected, even if you don't personally know each other, you'd be like, "Oh, that was a nice message. This guy didn't need to do that at all."
He didn't have to do that. Yeah, we don't know each other.
Think of how many millions of followers he has now. You've got people who hadn't even heard A, of Kevin Smith at all, or B, that this had happened to him, sending him nice messages. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure that's probably a nice little pick me up for him.
It's a little crazy because okay, in the States, kind of the right side is more so the religious side, right?
Yeah, the
and
religious
normally,
right.
we associate them as the crazy ones. But this is almost like the left attacking. You know what I mean? It's the more science based or whatever, right? But it's so outrageous, so ridiculous.
It's I think a lot of problems come down to people think they're better than other people, and obviously people don't like that, right?
Yeah.
It's these people are oh, why are you sending just these thoughts and prayers? How this is well, are you sending anything?
Yeah.
Why do you think you're better for some reason, or why do you got to look down on other people?
Seriously,
to try to make yourself feel better.
It's the whole thing too.
It's just a joke.
Oh, thoughts and prayers. Prayers aren't going to do anything. God doesn't exist. Blah blah. It's just all this nonsense. And
It's the same thing too.
we're sitting here. We're not two religious people.
No,
We're not at all. But also, if someone wants to go to church or believe in God or believe in any religion, go for it.
that's your prerogative.
You can do whatever you
as
want.
long as
I
you're
don't
not
care.
in my face shoving
Yeah.
your belief or non-belief at me, then I really don't care what you believe or don't believe in.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
If someone finds comfort in faith in God, go for it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Why not, right? Whatever gets you going, whatever gets you through the day, right?
If you find comfort in not believing, then that's fine. But don't think you're better than somebody because they believe or better than somebody because they don't believe.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I was a lot more under the thought of kind of oh, people who believe in God are stupid. I'm gonna prove them all wrong. It's stupid. And the older I kind of get, I'm well, you know what? It's everybody just
who cares?
Who cares? Everybody's just. That was, I don't know, I guess that was just trying to be rebellious and stuff, right?
Yeah, you get to that point where you're just I really don't give two shits what this other person thinks.
Yeah,
if it makes them happy, I don't care.
Yeah, you go to church, that makes you happy, go for it. I don't care. As long as you're not, shitting on me for not going or whatever. Then,
yeah, exactly.
Then you can go right ahead and go. So my whole point is, I just, these people are so stupid. There's stupid people on either side at all times. There's extremists to both sides. There's extremists,
exactly.
Let's say, the gun nuts, the religion-loving people. There's extremists there, and then there's extremists on the other side of the coin as well, right? And they're both nuts.
And
they're both equally nuts.
That's exactly the thing. The farther you move to like the fringes on the left or the right, the more and more alike you become.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It's like this theory that's called the horseshoe theory. So it's not almost a straight line from left to right.
Right.
It sort of curls up on both sides like the shape of a horseshoe, because as you get further and further to the opposite sides, you actually get more and more alike, like closer.
Yeah. That was
Then
super,
you're
that was
actually
super
in the
insightful. That was good.
Yeah, it's called the horseshoe theory.
Is that an actual theory? Did you
Yeah,
make
it is.
that?
If it wasn't like so politically charged, I'd probably post it on our Twitter. Instead, I just post like fun news articles that we talk about. Like last week, the tall man thing, trying to sneak in a Black Panther.
That was fun.
But we're not talking about last week. We're talking about this week.
Yes. So, it's not that this is new news.
No, but I think it was also a little wiser for us to let the dust settle and maybe learn some facts before we delve into a serious topic like this. Although we tackle the tough topics. We got to get T-shirts made with that saying.
Yeah.
We tackle the tough topics. But I believe it's almost about 2 weeks ago now
Yeah, pretty close to
that
it.
there was a terrible school shooting in Parkland, Florida. So this is like world news. I can't imagine that nobody has
I don't think we have to explain
missed
what
out
happened.
on it. But
Yeah.
basically, some obviously mentally deranged person went to their high school. I don't know if they were like a current student or a former student or not.
No, they were. He was kicked out. I think he was kicked out of school previous to that. He was 19 years old. So.
Oh, okay. So he probably ideally
should have
would
been out.
done
Yeah,
school
yeah.
by then. But basically, guy went to his school. Well, first off, he Ubered to the school, which I thought was weird because like he had like a semi-automatic
Must have
rifle
had a duffel
with him,
bag,
right?
But
And
you know what though? In the States, that's probably not that weird of a thing, right? But I guess if he's getting
I
dropped off out of
suppose,
school,
but
maybe
I
it's
don't know. If I was
weird.
like an Uber driver, maybe it'd be like uncomfortable.
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Anyways, so this guy, he Ubered to school, got out of school, pulled the fire alarm, and he had this semi-automatic rifle, and he was just like shooting at people because he pulled the fire alarm. All these children and students are running around, and he ended up killing like 17 people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many other people he
I think,
injured.
yeah.
But it's just like
wounded,
this terribly like horrific thing. You're like, how could anybody do something like this? Yeah. And then he dropped the gun, fled out of the school with everybody else who's running and panicking, right? Just kind of blend in with them. Somebody recognized him, like I guess who worked at the school, recognized him while this was going on, and then he like fled and like went to the Walmart up the street or something. And then about an hour later, the police caught him because he was recognized by somebody at the school, but there was also like security footage that went through. Mm-hmm. So they took him in. There was like no incident. He didn't fight them or anything like that. No, he's in custody, and he's probably gonna either get the death penalty, rightfully so, or go to jail for life, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So there's been a ton of people on both sides, for gun control, against gun control, and all this stuff. Just been like all over the place after this event, just because. Which happens after, as sad as it is to say, like every sort of event like this that happens, because you think like, wow,
Which
how
seems
could something
to be
like this happen
happening
all the time? Like
on a weekly basis.
Yeah, like the last really big one, there was like a massive shooting in like Las Vegas, where like, oh man, like over 50 people died, and, like hundreds, like almost 500 people were injured. But that anyways, that's besides the point. So this has brought up a lot of interesting theories and like a lot of like political activism, if you will. Like some of the kids who survived the shooting have been like all over the news and like really pushing for like stronger, like gun regulations and like forms of gun control and stuff. And I see them on like Ellen DeGeneres, and they're organizing like some march on like Washington D.C., like the March for Life and stuff. So it's raised a lot of interesting points. So one thing that was interesting is the facts that came out after the fact.
Yeah.
Right? Which there was actually security guards at the school, or a security guard at the school. Or Dan, you can go into further detail if you like.
Yeah, okay. Well, first off, after it first happened, a large response, and mostly from Trump, was the whole idea was to put guns in teachers' hands.
I've seen this idea floated around.
So originally when we thought about doing this, I figured, like this kind of topic here, I figured we'd kind of have a debate in how we felt about this. And originally my thought was a little like, well, maybe it's an idea to try that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's important to not just take IDs and just throw them away without thinking about them first.
Yeah, it does sound like a crazy idea. I get it, but
especially in
maybe?
tough topics like this. Right?
But after everything that's come out, I kind of changed my thought on that. So interestingly enough, there was a security guard or not a security guard, but it was
somebody
like
from
it
the
also
local
wasn't
sheriff's office or something like that. I can't remember the
that was like
exact
kind of
title.
stationed at the school.
Yeah,
and he heard the gunshots and stayed outside and never went inside the school to stop or anything like that.
At first pass, sounds like what the hell?
His job is to go in there and do it.
Yeah.
But what his lawyer has now come out and said is that he was following protocol because he thought the gunshots were coming from outside. And the protocol was to kind of take cover and deal with local authorities on, assess the situation in that sense. But also, there was 3 officers who showed up to the scene. And I think they did it by minutes. So the school shooting lasted 6 minutes, and these cops showed up 3 minutes in.
That quick? They could get there?
It was something like that.
That's
yeah,
a quick response.
I guess they're driving in the area or something like that.
I guess that's true.
Get there pretty quick.
At the station going or something.
So you got 4 people with guns standing outside the school, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's like you think of that now, and
it's kind of bizarre. You think of how much more damage was done in those other 3 minutes, right?
How many more lives could have been saved? And you think about those guys standing out there with the guns, and then you hear some of the stories of the people inside the school. There was I think it was a football coach
Yeah, I heard about this.
Who shielded the kids with his own body.
Yeah,
shielded a ton of kids.
He ended up dying, but he saved a bunch of kids'
lives.
Who
knows how many kids he saved, right? You think about people like that who sat inside, he stayed inside the school and saved a bunch of kids. You got 4 guys outside with guns just doing nothing.
Yeah, I imagine if 3 officers show up and the guy's out there and they're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, I was waiting for the guy with the gun out here." And they're like, "What?" And then what happened for the other 3 minutes? I don't know.
What did they do? What did they do for 3 minutes standing outside?
And then everybody, starts running outside, right, panicking. And then, I don't know, the shooter dropped the gun and escaped. And then what these guys do? They're like, "Oh, well, we better go ask people if they recognize somebody." I have no idea. So one of the things that came up as a idea that was floated around was giving guns to teachers.
Yeah, training teachers or
training teachers
or teachers that previously have a military background or a special force background to put guns in their hands.
Which is an interesting idea, but my stance would be I don't think that's an ideal solution at all. Because teachers are barely funded as it is, at least in the United States. Now, we're obviously coming at this from the perspective of people outside the United States, but still. There's obviously funding problems already with the education system in the United States, and now you want to spend more money to arm teachers, teachers going to bring their own guns in? And it's bizarre because you think of some of these people who are teachers nowadays, and it's these, people who are really young, in their mid-20s or so, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm, pursuing a career in education, I want to become a teacher. I don't know if I want to sign up to be this, bodyguard for all these students.
Yeah, it's
right, this extra responsibility, and that's a pretty weighty responsibility. Just it's shoved onto these people.
It is pretty. Yeah, it's okay. Go to work, teach these kids. You're teaching the future, but also if someone comes in with a gun, you also have to be James Bond.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's that's a lot to ask of somebody.
It is a lot of responsibility.
You know what I mean?
And you think of some people were like, okay, well, maybe, just teachers who've already served or stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what percentage of teachers is that?
There's a good chance you're not going to have at least one in every school. There's a real good chance.
Yeah, there's going to be schools where you don't have any.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably tons of schools.
I would say the majority of schools.
Majority, yeah.
So another idea I saw people throw out there online was, what about if you took Army veterans and stuff, right? Sort of get them back in the field, if you would, and sort of post them into schools. And then that had the same issue as me, which was, well, where's all the tax money going to come from for this?
Yeah.
Right. And then there's also issues of oh, well, maybe they're suffering from PTSD or anything like this.
I was just thinking
these other issues too, right?
And this guy goes crazy and shoots up the whole school.
Right. So that's a very complex issue. But gun control itself is like a very heated issue because there's people out there in the United States who are like, we should just ban all guns.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who are like, if somebody in the school had a gun, they could have shot this guy and killed him, and then maybe, he would have broken into the school, one person would have died, somebody would have taken this guy out, or it certainly would have limited the damage, if you will.
But
right?
it's like a fight or flight, though. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
Nobody knows how they're going to react in that situation until you're put into it.
That's why it's important that if it was like these teachers handling these guns, it's somebody who's trained, right?
Yeah, because it can't just be a normal person, because you don't know how you're going to react in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would react in that situation. I may have jumped out the window and left all the kids there. I don't know. I don't know. I got no idea. I'd like to hope I wouldn't do that, but
It's one thing to, be trained in like shooting guns at targets and stuff, but it's another thing when you're like in this active shooter situation, you have all this pressure, right?
absolutely. And your
Kids
target
running
is
around all
shooting
over the
back.
place. Yeah. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like an extremely complex issue. Now, one thing that makes it like particularly complex is that it's like in the Constitution of the United States, it's the Second Amendment that people have the right to bear arms, and there's tons of arguments for it and against it. And basically, the Constitution was written like over 200 years ago, and people are like, "Oh, well, when they wrote this amendment, it was with the didn't have the idea that." People would have the sort of weapons they have now. People had muskets and these, rifles where you could shoot maybe 2 rounds a minute if you were a very skilled, marksman or something.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, I understand that. But if you have that same sort of logic, then you could apply that to the other amendments, which is like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have freedom of speech unless you're literally like on a printing press or like shouting it out, because like the internet didn't exist and phone calls didn't exist and stuff.
Yeah.
So if the newer technologies can't apply to this amendment, why should it apply to the other amendment? So that kind of, takes that argument out.
Yeah.
Another interesting argument, though, is that the whole idea of the Second Amendment was that it's like a sort of well-armed militia, right, of the people. So that if the government turned tyrannical, the people could fight back. But that one's kind of hard to picture.
What do the people do?
That one's kind of hard to picture now because it's like if the government wanted to turn against its people, it's got weapons you can't touch.
Just drone strikes everywhere. Everybody's dead.
Yeah, if you go by that same logic, then like should everybody be able to own like a bazooka? Why not?
Yeah.
It follows the same logic.
What's interesting too is like the whole. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's butt stocks. Is that what they're called?
Bump stocks.
Bump stocks. Thank you. The whole thing with bump stocks in the States. So a lot of these rifles are just semi-automatic.
Yeah,
which is you press the trigger, it shoots one bullet. Press the trigger. You can shoot quick, but it takes a while.
It's not like a fully automatic rifle. You're holding the button.
Yeah, but these bump
Bump
stocks.
stocks. Yeah.
All right. These bump stocks. I watched a video on it one time. Have you ever seen how it works?
No.
Yeah, because I was kind of curious. So it's honest to God, all it is, it's like it's just like a piece of plastic that attaches to the back of your gun, and kind of, I'm trying to like visualize this in my head right now. There's a part that goes like right around the trigger, right?
Okay.
Kind of like in front of it. So what happens is when you shoot the gun once, and the gun recoils, the bump stock pushes the gun back forward, and then your finger hits this little piece that's in front of the trigger and bounces it back to the trigger.
Oh, I see.
So it's not that the gun is shooting faster, it's just the fact that your finger is hitting the trigger way faster.
So it's like a primitive sort of solution to being able to shoot
So
faster.
these things are like super simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's turning these semi-automatic rifles into like fully automatic rifles. And you can just, like, as terrible as it is, you can gun down just like so many people with these things.
Yeah, I believe
it's bad enough with just the regular, semi-automatic weapons.
And right now they're not illegal?
No. I don't think
that's tricky
I'm not sure about all the states, but like I don't know if there's any states that they're illegal or.
Yeah, we obviously don't know 100% about all these facts and everything we're talking about as people who are, not inside the United States. So if anybody out there actually knows, or has a little more insight into this, please email us and let us know at ScruffCast@gmail.com. But I could see how you can make the argument where, bump stocks aren't illegal because it's not real, like it's just like a piece of plastic or it's just like some mechanism, right? but you're not actually. It's not a weapon in and of itself. But there are, I know, like illegal modifications that can be done to these weapons that, make them shoot faster and stuff like this. That sounds totally like I don't know what I'm talking about there.
Because we pretty much
Makes them shoot faster. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like such a complex issue. Like, I know people point to Australia, which over 20 years ago had like a mass school shooting, and then they checked the guns back.
Yeah, it was like a week and a half later they banned all guns.
Right? They banned all guns
and never had a mass shooting since.
And people think like, wow, why can't we just be like that? And it's like, it's not. It would never work that way, because these people giving up all their guns sounds like a nice, this perfect ideal world, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, large group of people somehow hid their guns. Now these people are the only people with the guns. I guess with the exception of like the military or police or something like that. But now they have the dangerous weapons and everybody else is kind of at the disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
And Australia also has a much smaller population. I don't know, maybe like between 30 and 50 million people. I don't know the exact number.
The amount of guns that's in the United States is absurd.
That's the thing, too. If the United States was like, okay, we're banning guns, it's somehow miraculously they get rid of the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And, guns are illegal. Everybody bring them in. There are more guns in the United States than there are people.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. The United States has like over 320 million people. There's over 360 million guns in the country.
That's
so,
insane.
First off, logistically, collecting all those is insane. What are you going to have the military rove through each area of the United States and
just
collect
dump
all these
trucks
guns?
and dump trucks full of them? Yeah.
And second off, you don't think these people are going to fight back? No, I'm not saying everybody's going to start going crazy and mowing everybody down. But you don't think of the 320 million people, and not all those people own guns, of course, but you don't think the people who do aren't going to fight back? There's going to be some out there who are fighting back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's kind of the whole idea of the Second Amendment. The government can't come do this.
And is that 360 million like registered guns?
Yeah, I would believe so.
So that's not even including kind of illegal guns.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they calculate the number. Maybe that might be like guns sold. So maybe it's like the total amount of guns, because even these illegal guns are maybe being purchased by one person, being sold to another on the black market or something like that. Because you can't manufacture your own gun. Although I did see some stories last year or 2 years ago about when 3D printing was coming about, people 3D printing their own guns.
And like they actually worked?
They actually worked.
Oh my God.
Now, they're not going to be as powerful as like these real guns, but you could probably kill somebody with these things.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy, right? So, like, for every 100 people in the United States of America, there's 112 guns. That's crazy.
That's nuts.
It is nuts. And a lot of people try to make it like, oh, it's not, it's about the gun. Look at, Australia and Canada and these other countries. They don't have these problems. No other country has, like, mass shootings like the United States. And it's like, so obviously the problem's guns. And it's like, well, you look at other countries and, like, if people want to hurt other people, they're going to do it whether they have guns or not, right? And then people make the argument,
they'll find a way. Yeah.
Well, if they didn't have a gun, they couldn't hurt as many people. And it's like, yeah, maybe. But maybe if other people had guns, they could have stopped that person, right? The genie is already out of the bottle. You cannot take all the guns back.
No.
It's impossible.
No.
Right? And it's like, the idea of the government going, like, tyrannical and, like, coming after the people or something is, almost laughable. You're like, yeah, right. But what if, 300, 400, 500 years from now, it does. We don't know what the country's going to look like. In that time. It didn't even exist that long ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Already it's not on the right track.
Already it's not on the right track. So maybe, 300 years from now, those people like our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will be like, why did those idiots take that right away?
Yeah.
Now we have nothing we can do.
And you know what? The kind of saddest part of it all, too, is it's the news sites that cover, news sites and TV, I guess, that cover all this stuff.
Just all the media.
And make this person, the shooter, more famous. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, their face is plastered
this is the
everywhere.
shooter's goal, is to just, okay, I'm going to become the biggest school shooter ever. You know what I mean? Kill the most people in school. I'll be famous.
And sure enough, like,
and they will.
All the media takes this guy's face, they plaster it around, and then you get all these extra details that come out, like, in the weeks after, like, oh, he was diagnosed with autism when he was 11. His father died when he was born, and all this stuff, right? And now you all of a sudden know this guy's history, right?
And it's money. It's a moneymaker. These national tragedies are money makers.
Exactly. You go on these websites. You don't think that they're like, oh my god, look at this horrific tragedy, and then a huge sidebar full of ads. If you don't get a gigantic full screen pop up.
Yeah, or you watch a video and you gotta watch.
You don't think they're trying to sell you
Tide Pod commercial before you?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like these sort of massive tragedies just make these media companies more money. As bad as it sounds, it's like these things are good for business.
Yeah.
That's pretty messed up.
It is.
I
don't know.
It's just insane. It's like such a complex issue that it's never going to be solved. Right? I see there's the CNN town hall of these kids who survived the shooting, just ripping into this lady from the NRA, right? And now, they're asking her questions, or they're really just shouting at her and attacking her. And, the lady's trying to respectfully answer the kids, and she's just being berated, and people in the crowd are yelling "You're a murderer! You're a murderer!" And I gotta give this lady credit for holding together, right? Not just losing her cool, because everybody's just attacking her as if she was the one who went and killed these people. People make the argument "Oh, the NRA is a terrorist organization." Listen to this. I've actually seen that people have been complaining to companies like Apple and Amazon and Google because I guess they have their own sort of online TV station or something like NRA TV, and they're like, "Oh, why is this available on the Apple TV? Shame on you, Apple. You should do this, blah blah blah." And it's like, give me a break. If you don't like it, then don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. Yeah,
right. But I don't know. I don't really have much to say, but people are all over the place, and I really don't know how to solve this problem. I think this is the first problem we've come across that's too big for even the ScruffCast to get people to solve.
We've solved gender equality.
We've solved gender equality. I wouldn't say we've solved racism. We've talked about it.
Yeah,
we've tackled a lot of tough topics on this podcast.
We've been close to solving racism.
Well, we've been pretty close.
We've been close. We're getting there.
We haven't got a single email or tweet that said, "I'm experiencing racism."
Yeah. So I think we're doing a good job.
It's got to be gone by now.
But gun control, jeez.
This issue might be too big for us.
This might be too big for the ScruffCast.
I'm sweating just thinking about it.
All right, let's try to move on to some more happy things.
Some greener pastures.
We have a listener email. All right, I'll read this. Okay, here we go. So, hey guys, love the stories you guys bring up every week. Keep it up. Short story and a question for you guys. I once went to see a movie with a girl. After buying the tickets, we went to the concessions where we bought a tray of nachos and a small popcorn, and then in quotations or in brackets he says, "Let's not get started on the price," which he's right. It's very expensive. After that, instead of heading to the theater, the girl I was with wanted to sit down at the table for a bit. We then started to dig into the snacks, though she did a bit more enthusiastically than myself. She asked why I was eating slow, and I just said I was saving some for the movie. To which she said, "What? You don't eat during the movie?" An opinion I do not share. So I ask you guys, eating during the movie screening, bueno or no bueno? This could be a thing, bueno or no bueno.
I'm on board.
This guy's he's doing the segments for us here. That's the thing. If you guys want to email us
with whatever topic you want, and maybe it's a new little segment of bueno or no bueno. You write in, you say, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this?" Let's try to keep it simpler than gun control, but give us an idea, and we'll give you the rundown. Right. Bueno or no bueno.
Treadmills, bueno or no bueno. give us something easy.
Yeah,
it's no bueno.
No bueno. Especially if you live in a nice area. Get outside and start running.
Yeah. So ask guys, bueno or no bueno? Okay, let's answer that question first. How do you feel about eating during the movie?
So, it's interesting because I think it's fine to eat popcorn during the movie. You drink a pop or something. Nachos, they serve it at the movie theater, so why not? Although they are a little bit of a louder crunch. I think it's fair. However, I don't know, because they have these sort of VIP cinemas they have here where they actually give you a menu and you can order a poutine.
You can order a meat board.
Yeah, you can get a platter of meat and eat during the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I've had a poutine during a movie.
It's fantastic. I think this girl's crazy. Like, you get the popcorn to eat in the movie. You get the candy to eat in the movie. Why are you gonna go get the popcorn from the theater and then go sit at the table and eat it? Just go out to a restaurant before.
It's like the food and the movie is a cohesive experience.
Yeah.
You're dividing it? A divided movie experience amongst itself cannot stand.
This girl's ridiculous. I hope nothing amounted out of this.
What I'm curious is, what movie did they watch?
I don't know.
Write in next week and let us know. Or tweet at us, at ScruffCast.
Yeah, okay, so we're both bueno for eating during the movie.
Bueno.
Definitely. Next question he has here. Do you guys have any funny / odd date stories yourselves? John, you got anything?
So...
Oh, sorry, and then regards your biggest and hopefully not only Chicago fan.
We have way more than one fan in
I
Chicago.
think we had a Chicago
Give
fan
us a break.
previously email us.
Yes.
Maybe it's the same person.
Definitely not. This is a very popular podcast.
Especially in Chicago.
Especially in Chicago.
South Side.
So, I have a story, actually, not really related to a date, but at going to the movies. I went to the movies one time, and I saw a lady take a bag, like out of her purse, and pull out like some full-size submarine sandwiches. This lady's eating at the movies to the next level.
Was it like a homemade one?
I think so.
Oh,
I think
boy.
so. So it was made with like the tender care of, in your own kitchen, you manufacture the sandwich, and you're like, can't wait to go watch Fast and the Furious 7 and eat the sub. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. I got a couple stories. I got two. One of them is a date story, I guess, and I wouldn't say it's an odd date story, but it's just a date that didn't go very well. Which, funny enough, happened to be with my fiance now, so I guess it didn't ruin too much. But I think it was our second date, and we went to go see a scary movie, which I thought, like, perfect. You know what I mean? She's gonna get all scared, cuddle up. She'll be all freaked out. And this movie was, I'm sitting there like, all right, come on, let's get to the scary stuff. It's one of these kind of like devil like shaky cam where like the cam follows the person around.
Yeah.
Like Blair Witch Project style. It was one of those, and it was just not scary. Like, it's like an hour and 10 minutes through. I'm like, oh, come on, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is my second date with this girl. I gotta get closer.
I need those cuddles. It's
Yeah,
scary.
and nothing the whole movie. And then, we just like, all right, see ya. And then that was it. It was just it was terrible. Yeah, I don't know. That's about it. But the other story I have, which has to do with snacks at a movie.
Ooh, okay.
I was young. I was, I don't know. We were in grade school, and I went to the movies with two girls that we went to school with. And so we went and sat down in the movie, and I had a drink. And so the girl I was with had a pack of Twizzlers. And so she took one Twizzler out and stuck it in her drink as like a straw. You know, you like bite the two ends of the Twizzler, stick it in, and you can like
It's
drink
hollow
through
on
it.
the inside.
Yeah. So she did that, and so I just had my drink with a normal straw. So she took my straw out, threw it on the ground, and stuck one of those in. And
Like, for you to use? Or
For-
like,
for
this was
me-
her own?
No, for me to also use on my drink. And so I was like,
I could get, like, saying, like, hey, this is cool, why don't you try this? But throwing the other straw on the ground?
yeah, she threw it on the ground.
You throw this girl out of the theater, she's going to catch these hands.
Yeah. And, like, I was kind of like, I was a little frustrated. I was like, okay, whatever. And so the movie theater, you know which theater I'm talking about, too.
Yeah.
The concessions used to be on, like, one end, and it was, like, a long, long, long hallway of all theaters. And we were at the theater at the very end. So I had to walk all the way back to the concessions, grab another straw.
Oh,
go
my
back.
God. By the
And
time
so-
you're back, you're watching the sequel.
Yeah, I know. And so I was pretty young at this time too, right? But I tried to keep my cool. I'm like, all right, whatever. And like, I already didn't really like this girl to begin with, right? It was the other chick that was there. That's the reason I was there at 12 years old. And so I was like, all right, whatever. So I get another straw, put it in my drink. Boom! She does the same thing again.
Oh, my God.
so
I'm
I'm
getting
like-
mad now. 16 years later.
Oh my God. So then I go back to the concession stands. This time I grab a couple because I'm like waiting for it. I put one back in my drink. Boom. She takes that one out, throws it again. But luckily I had the extra straws and I just kept my drink away from her. What a bitch.
That's
It's just-
ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I
Like
can't-
to this day, I still remember that. I like how mad I was.
The nerve.
I think we were seeing Too Fast, Too Furious in theaters. Great movie. Check it out if you haven't already seen it.
Yeah, if you
No,
haven't
seriously,
seen
I
it,
do like that
16
movie,
years
though.
later. This has been the ScruffCast movie review.
Yeah. Too Fast, Too Furious. Rotten Tomato score 95.
Really? That's quite
Oh God,
impressive.
no! It's definitely not that.
How many straws out of 10 straws would you give it?
It is 7 straws and 3 Twizzlers.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
That would almost be a perfect 10, although a Twizzler straw isn't worth as much as a regular straw.
exactly. So
Another question I have for you is, did you eat the Twizzler straw that she had put in your drink? You definitely ate
I
it.
probably,
There's no way you
I
didn't.
probably did. I wouldn't have thrown the Twizzler on the ground. I doubt it. Like I doubt I threw the Twizzler on the ground. I probably ate
You should
it.
have been a little passive aggressive. Take the Twizzler out of her drink and then put your straw in there.
Give her a good smack with the Twizzler. Pa-pa!
Woo! Take that, lady.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is
Well, that's enough licorice smacking for this week,
yeah.
I guess.
This podcast was like I don't know. This is a little sad. This is a little downer. This podcast.
Well, maybe was there any good news we had to talk about this week? Not really. The death of the CD.
Yeah, that sucked.
This terrible school shooting.
Also sucked.
This little bitch taking the straw to your drink thrown on the floor like she's Miss Entitled Queen over here.
Yeah, you know who it is too.
Don't get me
We'll
started.
talk about that off the podcast.
Some things are too spicy for the air.
That's right. Okay, well, next week we'll keep it a little lighter.
Yeah, there's going to be like something exciting that's very positive and, good that will happen this week coming up that we'll talk
Maybe
about.
someone else solves gun control.
Yeah, maybe it gets solved by the time we come back. I don't know. The onus is on you, listeners, not us. We're just we're using our platform to bring the issues. You solve the problems, we talk about it. This is the listener podcaster relationship we have.
That's right.
So if you want to follow up with us, we're all over the web. Where can they find us, Dan?
They can find us on Twitter at ScruffCast. They can email us at scruffcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram. The ScruffCast?
The ScruffCast.
ScruffCast.
Because some guy out there already has ScruffCast.
And for that guy, if he's listening to this, we're coming for you.
We're coming for you. We definitely got to be way more popular.
Yeah. And we're on YouTube. Search the ScruffCast.
We're on YouTube. You got to search.
We don't have the fancy title.
Please subscribe. We need enough subscribers so then we can get youtube.com.
5 iTunes stars,
ScruffCast.
blah, blah, blah. You guys get it.
Yeah, if you're out there and you're like, wow, I like that. Well, literally, go give it a like. Thumb it up on YouTube if you're listening.
Tell
there.
your friends.
Leave
Tell
us
your
a-
mom. Tell your grandma. Everybody listen.
If your grandma's sitting in the nursing home, just sitting around all lonely, and you're not visiting her, just let her know about the magic that's a ScruffCast. You won't even have to visit her anymore.
She's not going to know what
gonna
she's...
be so entertained.
She's not going to know what she's listening to, but it's another download for us, you know?
There you go. We're bumping up those numbers.
That's
So
right.
we can get ads in here, and then we can sell you guys Tide Pods. And then while we talk about terrible stuff, we can just be hypocrites and start making money.
That's right. All right. That's the end of this episode. Episode 11. We'll catch you guys next week.